Hey guys, are you ready to transform your mind so you can transform your life? Coach Mirna brings you one-on-one coaching and expert guests weekly to help you to grow. Because happiness is the progressive realization of a worthy goal.
Looking for personal growth? Let's do it. This episode is brought to you by Spark Energy Plus Focus. Let me share something personal. I'm actually very sensitive to caffeine, so starting my day with strong coffee doesn't work for me. I feel energized throughout the day, and then I'm up half the night. That's why I like Spark Energy. It gives me clean, steady energy without the caffeine overload. I can start my morning with Spark, get my workout in, record my podcast, and stay focused throughout the day and not have that 4 p.m. fade. Spark Energy Plus Focus is offering 30% off and free shipping. Go to drinkspark.com and use code TRANSFORM at checkout. That is DRINKSPARK.com. Use code TRANSFORM for 30% off plus free shipping.
The 520 hertz sound meditation replaced my normal meditation, what I learned to was a mantra and whatnot. And then a couple of months later, we developed the product Love Tuner. Love Tuner is basically the combination of breathwork and sound healing. So this became more or less my actual practice, and it also became my mission. And I'm the front man of Love Tuner. And even if we said earlier it doesn't pick up the tone, so I can explain real quick for your listeners and your followers what it is. So it's this little necklace, and you have a single tone flute in a cap. So you put this in your mouth, you inhale through the nose, you exhale through the tuner. It makes the sound of 520 hertz, what sounds like a high-pitched C, and it gives you a perfect feedback on your breath work. So this is one thing. So you do a conscious breathing break. On the spiritual level, you arrive in the here and now, and it makes you focused. This is exactly what we want to do when we meditate. We want to stop our thought process. We get from our head into our heart. And as it's the love frequency, we are inviting the universal frequency of love in our life.
Welcome back to the Transform Your Mind to Transform Your Life radio, podcast, and television show. I'm your host, Life Coach Myrna Young, and sitting in the guest chair today is Sigmar Berg. Sigmar and I are going to be talking on the topic of sound healing, breath work, and the frequency of love. I know you guys want to learn about this. So welcome, Sigmar.
Hi, Vinda. Thank you so much for having me.
You're very welcome. Awesome. All right. So today's guest left behind success, status, and a glamorous lifestyle to follow a deeper spiritual calling. Sigmar Berg is the founder of Love Tuner, a mindfulness tool centered around the 528 hertz frequency, often called the frequency of love and divine healing, and his work has touched millions. Sigmar's story is about awakening purpose and rediscovering peace in a noisy world. In this conversation, we'll explore breathwork, sound healing, ancient wisdom, and what it truly means to live aligned with your soul. Before we get started, I also want to thank Sigmar for sending me my own Love Tuner. I have been using it to communicate with trees when I walk in the park because I understand it helps you to connect with nature and the universe. I have been, blowing it at night before I go to bed so that I can set my frequency for meditation. And I even tried it with trying to tune in to my husband's love frequency. So, Sigmar is going to get into all the things that we can use our love tuner for. So I want to thank you right off the bat. We're both wearing ours. I'm wearing mine. He's wearing his. We can't really blow it on the show because, my show is filtered for noise. And, they'll pick it up as noise and just take it out anyway. So we're not going to blow it. You're just going to have to take our word for it. So As we get started, Sigmar, you walked away from a successful career and social life after a spiritual awakening. What happened in that season and how did it change the direction of your life forever?
Thank you for this great intro, and I appreciate that you tune in with trees and the love frequency of your husband. It's beautiful. It's exactly what this tool is meant for. Um, yeah, so my story is like there's no walking away. I know it looks on the outside like walking away, but I mean, you are on this path for a long time, and what happens naturally is if you raise your consciousness, what happened to me gradually, you just like things are not in resonance with you anymore. And this is like basically what we call walking away, but actually it's the different way. You just elevate and the other stuff is not so relevant in your life anymore. You know, some good friends stay for your entire life. Some people come and go, and the same thing is with life circumstances. So I believe in resonance, and when you raise your consciousness, some stuff what is very superficial just falls off. This is how I see it, and it's not that you look back and go like, oh, my life was so beautiful and now it's less beautiful. It's literally what vibes with you, and this is where you gravitate to. And overall, this is like it should be the journey of everyone, you know, because it's not that we just get older, we also get wiser. And when we go through our decades, you know, when we go to the decades of wisdom, and this is happening, and especially when you follow a spiritual routine or if you meditate, these things get just amplified, and it's like literally an elevation than walking away.
Very nice. So, what was your trigger? What was your spiritual awakening? What made you become more conscious? Because it
Uh,
sounds like you weren't born this way. We're not. But I mean,
no,
you obviously went through a period where you weren't conscious.
yeah, I think you know, like my spirituality, I didn't have like a traumatic experience like that changed my life, but I was always very related to nature, so this was always my temple more or less, and I didn't even know how much spirituality lays actually in my natural behavior. And then over time, especially when I started meditating, what is now whatever over 20 years ago, and then a couple of years later, I got introduced to the 520 hertz frequency, and we did a guided sound meditation. And yeah, this frequency, what I also say in my videos all the time as a mission statement, it literally touched my heart because this is what 520 hertz does. It vibrates on the heart field, and it takes you out of your head into your heart. And so basically, the 520 hertz sound meditation replaced my normal meditation, what I learned to was a mantra and whatnot. And then a couple of months later, we developed the product Love Tuner. Love Tuner is basically the combination of breath work and sound healing. So this became more or less my actual practice, and it also became my mission. And I'm the front man of Love Tuner. And even if we said earlier it doesn't pick up the tone. So I can explain real quick for your listeners and your followers what it is. So it's this little necklace, and you have a single tone flute in a cap. So you put this in your mouth, you inhale through the nose, you exhale through the tuner. It makes the sound of 520 hertz, what sounds like a high pitched C, and it gives you perfect feedback on your breath work. So this is one thing. So you do a conscious breathing break on a spiritual level. You arrive in the here and now, and it makes you focused. Is exactly what we want to do when we meditate. We want to stop our thought process. We get from our head into our heart, and as it's the love frequency, we are inviting the universal frequency of love in our life. So this is what you do in a very short period of time. So you tune depending on the exhale between whatever 10, 30 seconds up to a minute, whatever, how strong your lung volume is. But the regular tuning session takes between 3 and 6 minutes. It's a complete reset. And our research that we did shows that it does the same thing as meditation. So we had different groups. We had groups that have been meditating for many, many years. They have been in a separate room, And we had people that never meditate, had no spiritual hygiene, and we gave them love tuners. And then after the meditation was over, we measured their people's brainwave with a bioresonance feedback machine. And the results of the group that meditated and the group that used the love tuner the first time in their life was identical. So it was completely balanced, is exactly what you want to achieve after meditation. The only difference was the meditation took 20 minutes and the tuning group was done within 6 minutes. And 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 it does two things. It makes meditation easy. It makes it accessible for everyone. And it's also a shortcut to meditation. And I always tell people, listen, don't start shortcutting your spiritual hygiene. Don't shortcut your meditation. But it's a tool that you can use either in combination with your meditation. It can replace meditation. But what it does, it works instantly and it works everywhere. And it's literally a shortcut, to your spiritual hygiene.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Yeah. So, you sent me with the love tuner comes a little pamphlet, and I read the pamphlet and I thought, all right, I saw the thing with the nature. And a long time ago, I interviewed someone. I think I interviewed someone on the show. I read Sadhguru's book. I Anyway, so I know that you can communicate with trees, right? And I know that the trees have a certain frequency that whenever I walk in the park every day and I am like consciously aware that the trees are um connecting to the universe. We can call them Gaia or something. So when I saw in your pamphlet that you can use it in nature, so for instance, yesterday, there's several different trees that I love in the park. And one of them, I can sit on the branches because it goes like this. So yesterday, I sat on it and I blow my tuner because your pamphlet says you should do it for like 6 times. So you're right, it could be 6 minutes because I have good I'm a meditator, so I take a lot of deep breathing and diaphragmatic breathing. So I can probably blow out for about a minute or so, which is what I'm saying. So I sat in there and I did the 6 breaths, but I was not aware it was meditating. What I thought that I was doing is I was tuning into the frequency of the trees and nature and the atmosphere and the spirits of the land and things like that. So expand on why it is meditation.
So what you experience, I mean, first of all, trees have a frequency, and chlorophyll, for example, what gives the green color to leaves, has the same frequency as the love frequency, 520 hertz. So when you measure with an amplifier leaf, it will give you the same frequency what the love tuner is making. So it's not a man-made frequency, it's a divine frequency, and it
Nice.
occurs in a lot of living matter. So the humming of the bees, the chlorophyll of the trees. And there's also a mathematical explanation to this whole thing. 528 hertz on the color spectrum is green. So that's why chlorophyll is green. Our solar plexus heart center, the more or less
It's
the center
green.
of our body is green. So there's a lot of relation to everything. But when you ask me now, is it meditation or what are we doing? So basically, I'm a big believer in God, but I'm not
Of course.
necessarily a religious person. But I know that God's temple is the earth, it's the nature. And when you tune in nature, for example, and this is what we also say is what it does is it harmonizes within, but it also harmonizes with the world around you. And
Mhm.
this is why, I mean, you are obviously tuned in even without the love tuner. So you feel these energies, you feel these vibrations. And I
Mhm.
can only tell people because I wrote a book, it's called The Love Tuner Book, One Journey. And I start with me standing outside here in California at my house and I'm hugging a tree and I live in a very remote canyon. And tree hugger is this word like everybody makes fun about. And if somebody would have told me 20 years ago I'm hugging trees, I would have said, oh, maybe not for me. But if you are on this level of consciousness that you feel the energy of trees, then you're really on your journey. And I really tell this to everyone. Don't make fun about it. Don't tell anybody, but just go out and hug a tree. And if you feel it, then you're on the right term. If you don't feel it, do it every day 10 times till you feel this vibration. And
Yeah.
what you need to do is you need to clean out the barriers in our brain that tells us that this is not logic, because it is logic. And and the creation of God and the frequency and all together is way bigger that we can understand in our mind. And this is why the big decisions shouldn't be made on our mind. We should make
Yeah.
the decisions on a heart level. And this is
And
also
heart, right.
where we should connect to humans. But what you recognized very clearly with the tuna is it makes exactly this awareness. If you call it meditation or not, but you're in such a blissful surrounding, because you're literally tuning in with the world around you. You are connecting in the frequency carpet. And this is why, I mean, what is more beautiful than to be created and recognized by creation, that's and feel the creation. So this is what I tell a lot of people. I mean, we sometimes make it a little bit simpler, especially for people that start tuning. We say, okay, that's good for your lung volume. That's good for your immune system. This gives you a reset. It takes away anxiety. It helps you to sleep better, and all those points. But the actual end goal is the experience that you just described, that you really understand you're part of creation,
Yeah.
and everything is interconnected. There's no separation. And when we understand that there's no separation, then this is where communities can come together. This is when we live on a heart level, when we let this frequency touch us, and when we are conscious enough to feel them.
Yeah. 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 Um, I started being in love with trees when I was 16, and I went to a camp, and my camp was in the middle of a forest, and we would get up every morning, and we're in the middle of this place that had just surrounded by trees, and I started being in love with trees since then. And now I love trees. I Sometimes I hug trees, but usually what I do is I stand or sometimes sit in their presence, and I do feel the energy. I do it so that I'm consciously, what I'm saying to myself, it is circulating my energy, just like how their root system goes into the ground and then comes up and goes into the universe. Then that's what I'm doing. I'm clearing out my energy, and I feel so much better, which is why my routine is I walk a 5K in the park, and I do it because of my communion with nature and my communion with the trees, the sunshine. I live in Florida, and all those things is part of my daily routine. And when I'm away and I don't have it, I can't wait to get back. It's like it's something that I absolutely need. So thank you for adding the meditation piece, because yes, I was just trying to get into the frequency because I know about frequency. um I was reading something the other day about the tuning fork. This is not the same frequency as a tuning fork, is it?
I mean, it depends. There are tuning forks that have 520 hertz as well. There's
Really?
singing balls and like what you use for sound bass. They're also
Okay,
tuned to 520 hertz.
that's beautiful. Right, yes, because I have a lot of meditations on my playlist with the sound bath. So that's beautiful. All right. There's so many times in our day-to-day life that we can use that extra spark of energy to get us through the day. Recently, while wearing my realtor hat, I showed 7 properties in 6 hours. So I went on my showings armed with Spark Energy Plus Focus and had no energy fades. Spark Energy Plus Focus is your go-to pre-workout ritual when you need reliable energy to power through a lift, ride, run class, or real estate showings. Mix it, sip it, and get dialed in and ready to go. With 0 grams of sugar and essential vitamins and amino acids for mental focus, Spark supports reliable, sustained energy and focus without that jittery spike and crash feeling. Get steady, controlled energy throughout the day with 0 grams of sugar, 120 milligrams of caffeine for alertness and concentration, delivering sustained energy. Amino acids and taurine help balance the caffeine without jitters or crashes. Choline helps performance, mental focus, and clarity. Spark Energy Plus Focus is made by a trusted brand that has delivered real energy for 32 years, trusted by millions with thousands of 5-star reviews. Spark Energy Plus Focus is offering 30% off and free shipping. Go to drinkspark.com and use code TRANSFORM at checkout. That's code TRANSFORM at DRINKSPARK.com. If you've ever felt stuck trying to lose weight, you're not alone. Enter Weight Loss by Hers. It's designed to support you in reaching your goals. And Hers now offers access to an affordable range of FDA-approved GLP-1 medications, including the Wegovy pill and the Wegovy pen. With Wegovy at Hers, you can lose up to 20% or more of your body weight when combined with diet and exercise. It helps you regulate your appetite, eat less, and keep the weight off. I've been using GLP-1s for over a year, and I've lost 25 pounds. Wegovy is the first ever GLP-1 pill for weight loss. So if you're on the shelf because you do not like needles, this is for you. There are no needles needed. Everything is 100% online through Hers. You'll connect with a licensed provider who will determine if treatment is right for you. If prescribed, your medication will deliver it right to your door. No insurance necessary. Even better, with a range of affordable GLP-1 options, Hers make it simple to find an approach that fits your needs and your budget. If eligible, you'll get a treatment plan personalized to you and unlimited dose of changes as needed. It's weight loss designed to work with your life. Ready to reach your goals? Visit forhers.com/transform to get personalized, affordable care that gets you. That's forhers.com/transform. forhers.com/transform. Weight Loss by Hers is not available in all 50 states. Wegovy is the registered trademark of Novo Nordisk AS. To get started and learn more, including important safety information, Wegovy clinical study information, and restrictions, visit forhers.com. So let's get into some of the science now. What is the science behind sound healing? What is it actually doing to our cells and our mind and our body and our heart frequency? And talk about this. I didn't ask you how to say it properly, but it looks like solfeggio frequency and its psychological effects of breath and vibration.
Yeah. So the frequencies are called solfeggio frequencies, and the 520 hertz frequency is one of those frequencies. Actually, there have been 6 frequencies originally, then they added 3 more, so it's 9 frequency. The 520 hertz is the most dominant frequency of all of them. And because it's called the love frequency, this is the highest frequency we can achieve, and also the highest frequency and energy what is out in the universe. And our entire musical scale back in the days was calibrated in a way that the 520 hertz was our normal C note. So music at one point was healing, like not only that it was pleasurable and nice to listen to, it was really healing. And for example, the Gregorian choir 600 after Christ have been all chanting on this tone. And what happened is churches back then have been like literally sound healing domes. So people have been chanting, humming, and the organ itself was calibrated to the original musical scale. So the C note hit 520 hertz. So what happened in this community is that this chanting literally harmonized and healed people. So to an understanding, what in the Western medicine is not existing anymore. So we don't have this awareness. But when we now, I mean, I did not discover this frequency. It's a divine frequency, obviously. There have been many before me that have been working with the 528 hertz frequency. One is, for example, Professor Horowitz. He rediscovered the 528 and the power of the 528 hertz already in the 80s, started a big movement. Back then, there was no social media. So, but the knowledge is out there. And what we need to be aware of, and this is what I always explain people, is everything is energy and frequency. So when we go on the street and we have annoying street noise, we recognize it. If we have whatever the classic scratching on the chalkboard, we recognize it. But we are not aware of the beneficial frequencies. So when you're aware of how many bad frequencies you interfere on a daily basis, including my cell phone here, because this is not the frequency we should be surrounded. It's great to have one and makes our life easier, but we need to be careful to retune again. And when you say the same thing, when you travel and you don't have your trees, maybe this is your tuning chamber. You know, the frequency of the trees heals you. And this is the same thing with the tuner. And this is why I invented the Love Tuner, that you can do this anywhere you are. No, you can be in a hotel room, you can be in a stressed environment, you can be in an airport, you can even drive your car. I mean, Los Angeles, we have crazy traffic here. And before you start swearing in traffic, it's way better to use the tuner and do some cycles
Calm you
because
down. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it calms you down, and you know, you just arrive in a better state of mind. And I mean, and the combination of breathwork and sound healing is so profound because, you know, breathwork, we all know, really regulates your nervous system. It disconnects the parasympathetic from the sympathetic nervous system. It takes you out of the fight and flight mode. It brings you into a harmonious state. And then on top of it, you have the sound healing. And sound healing is so abstract to some people, but everybody that goes into a sound bath goes like, oh, this was great. So there must be something behind it. And I know what is behind it. And I think the best teacher is always nature, because like what you experience with trees is like the saying, as above as below. That's the same thing. The trees are all connected in a mycelial network that runs underground. And the same thing is in the universe. You know, we have the morphogenetic field. So when we connect to either one of them, you know, it goes as above as beyond. So we connect into this network, and we do this consciously with the intention of love. So when we tune, we basically send out love frequency into our earth, but also into the universe. And by doing this, you know, we are enhancing this field. So we are elevating the frequency. And this is what is happening in our times, especially because since 15 years, the Schumann's frequency of the earth is raising like crazy. So it's basically you live on a planet that is raising its frequency by itself, and you stay in the same consciousness as you have been 20 years ago. That's not working out because, you know, Mother Earth is raising it, so you better follow her. Otherwise,
Right.
there's a disruption. And this is what we see now in society, because it's our own planet is telling us, hey, raise your frequency. And what we are doing, and a lot of people are doing, is we just ignore it, you know, and then we wonder why we're all sick and why we need medication, why we are so unhappy, and why things are not in the flow that we would like to have. And then you have a lot of people that take advantage of us people being confused, you know, and getting sick and whatnot. But it's all comes to the point like, listen, tune into nature. And however you do it, hug a tree, sit under a tree, use a love tuner if you're not outside. But this is what we're actually doing. We are literally recalibrating our system, like an instrument that is out of tone. You retune it, and the same thing. This is what the love tuner does for us humans. It recalibrates us.
That's amazing. I love it. So this is going to be my most beautiful gift because it's going to work in conjunction to the things that I do already. Now, I'm just throwing this out there. But I walk in something I call the sanctuary, but it's a wooded area, and sometimes there's a lot of birds, which I love, but sometimes there's animals. And I was saying to myself, I certainly don't want to be calling these animals. So is is this at all, are animals at all in tune to the sound?
Yes, they are. They are, you know, like
Okay.
there's anyway a huge relation also, you know, like for birds, their frequencies, for example, that also wakes up the production of oxygen in the trees. There's so much correlation, you know, this is so perfect designed, our entire creation. But when it comes to frequency and animals, I mean, I have a bunch of dogs, I have some wild cats running around, and all of them, and including my friends are like big horse people, they tune with the animals. So animals are very affine to this frequency. I mean, I would not approach an animal and go up with the tune and blow it in their face. I mean, this is not the right thing. But
Mhm.
as soon as you use it, when I, for example, tune and my dog's somewhere running around, within a minute they show up. So they come and they sit next to you.
Mm.
And,
Well,
and,
I
and
don't want the wild animals showing up, so I'll make sure I,
yeah,
I, I blow it in a place where there's no animals.
well, it's safe for you.
Ah, 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 ah. Which is, like I'm conscious. I'm aware of it. I'm aware, that if we're tuning in then to the universe, then, I might be calling um sometimes there's like wild cats in the area or something. They don't really bother you, so you walk. But I'm thinking, okay, right, yeah. So I'll be very careful where I'm tuning. But yeah, I mean, what I've been doing is finding a tree that I normally visit, and that's a safe area. But I mean, I decided without even asking the question that it might not be safe for me to be blowing this thing and calling animals. All right. So, um, thank you so much for sending this over. All right. So let's talk now about trauma and emotional wounds. Right. So this show focuses a lot on childhood trauma, and, a lot of my listeners tune in for this kind of information. So, how do you think that breath work and mindfulness, including the tuner, can help people come out of survival mode and reconnect with their bodies?
Yeah, like I mean, all the trauma that we experience, you know, like first of all, you need to get aware of it. And often it happens to people in therapy that they talk about it and they recognize whatever trauma they had. And then comes a very significant point in life. And this is how do you deal about it? Are you going back to your therapist and talk about it for the next 10 years? Because when you talk about it, the same thing happens. It's also energy frequency. So as soon as you repeat this over and over again, it manifests. It manifests on a cellular level. And and I have seen this in many cases, and I work a lot also in one-on-one sessions with people, and I always tell them what I'm doing with you is not therapy. I'm retuning you, and then it should work. Then you're on your own. Don't call me again. I mean, obviously people can call me and ask me questions, but I make this very clear that I don't want to repeat it because I recognized one thing, all the trauma that really sits in our body that we are not consciously aware of, it's all on a cellular level. And to release trauma on a cellular level, what is better than to tune it out of your system, you know, because it's really a physical trauma that you have. It's sitting in you, it triggers you, and you can intellectually try to solve it 100,000 times. You can understand why you react in this way, but it will not leave you till you, on a cellular level, really dig it out of your body. And this is why, and this is what I tell people. I said, listen, tune it out of yourself. Make it, because you cannot even comprehend it on an intellectual level what happened to you. Even if you know, I have this trauma because of this and this, A and B, C, what happened in my life, but it still sticks with you. And then a lot of people go like, okay, I have my therapist and I still feel like I feel better, but I need maybe a medication, you know, to overcome this anxiety and whatnot. But this is exactly where frequency, breath work all comes together. So breath work does one thing. So it regulates your nervous system in the here and now. So if you are stressed out, take a deep breath, count till 3, exhale. So same thing with the tuna, inhale, exhale through the tuna, gives you an audible feedback on your breath work. But the vibration itself, and this is the power of this little tuna, it aligns the water molecules in your body. So this is where the whole knowledge comes from. So I when we started working on the love tuna, I was reading a book from Emoto, and it was called The Hidden Messages in Water. And he
Mm-hmm.
was playing like whatever speed metal music. He was playing Mozart to water, and he was putting prayers on water, and then he watched what is happening. And the water reacts. So we are 75 to 80% water. Our blood is 91% water. So obviously we react to vibration. So if somebody shouts at us, we freeze. If somebody talks loving to us, we enjoy it. And with 528 hertz, what it does on water, and we have this on our homepage on lovetuner.com on the science page, we show what water does when you play the tune on it. So this 528 hertz frequency under the microscope. Within 30 seconds, it restructures the water molecules in your body from a cluster into a declustered, perfect hexagonal crystal shape. And when you use the tuner, it does it in your body. It aligns the water molecules. It gives you the feeling of relaxation, and that's a cellular experience. And this is the whole trick actually behind overcoming trauma, or it can help you to overcome trauma that you cannot even intellectually fully grab.
Wow, this is powerful. I
Yeah.
absolutely love that because I mean, I've known for a while that talk therapy just makes you feel better, but it doesn't really do anything, which is why a lot of people are moving from talk therapy to, different modalities. But
Yeah.
this is the most powerful one because, and I know about that water. I mean, I'm not sure if you're talking about the same experiment, but the guy that shows you what happens to the water when you have anger or when you have love or when you have different things and it changes. And of course, I know, which is one of the reasons I'm also connected to the moon because the moon, with the tides in a woman's body, and I know our body is with water. But if you can just tune in with a frequency and change that. And you're right, almost consciously think when you're blowing out that you're blowing that all out. That is amazing. And I've just recently became conscious of trauma and energy leaking from our cells from an interview I just had with a gentleman that talked about how when you get angry or when you have different thoughts, you're like leaking energy. He gave analogy of you have a goldfish and you put it in that bag in the water. And, when you're leaking energy, you're like leaking out of that bag and it's leaking just like you said, from your thoughts. And I love what you said about when you replay it, by talking about it, then you're actually bringing feelings and leaking again your energy. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Love that.
Yeah. You're basically creating a mantra, a negative mantra, because you're repeating it all the time. And
Wow.
and the experience, for example, in a group when you use the love tuner, we measured that it goes about 8 feet, what is like 2.5 meters out of your body. And so when you are in a group tuning, you connect on the sound carpet. So and there's a lot of beautiful things that I got even reported from all the users that we have around the world. And we also did love tuner seminars where big groups tuned together. And it was a feeling of community. It's a feeling of connections because our hearts, they are super curious. So what really disconnects us from connecting and walking up to someone and saying, hey, I want to hug you, whatever, it's literally our intellect. So our heart is always curious. When we enter a room, we want to connect. This is our human thing, like we are not living in isolation. This is why the human interaction is so important. We all love social media. I mean, listen, we do business on social media. We spread our knowledge on social media, but the human interaction is so important. And when this human interaction is is on a very authentic level, then you really gain something. This is the opposite of being drained from energy. This is where you gain energy, and this is what we should focus on. And connecting in this frequency, tuning together, is not only that you can overcome an argument, because when you tune together, you might even forget what the argument was about. And the same thing is, I mean, it goes all the way. We had people that doing tantric seminars. They used to love tuna because it's even more powerful than the arming together. So there's a lot of stuff, and this is what we as humans just need to really embrace and understand. We are frequency and vibration.
Oh, we are for sure. Now, this is a perfect time to talk about. We talked about trees, we talked about the heart, we talked about the universe, but one of the ways, in fact, that you're calling it love, the love tuner, is how does it work if you want to tune into your partner's frequency? What does it do with that, or how does that work?
The best thing would be if both of you have a tuner. If it's a couple,
Oh.
you both have a tuner and you both tune. I mean, it's like I have seen it with whatever mothers that have like newborns or toddlers, and they hold them and they tune with the baby, and the baby relaxes. Obviously, it feels the frequency of the mother, and they harmonize. But as a couple, the best thing is really to tune together.
To tune together.
Like,
All right. So I
like,
guess I gotta get another one then. All right.
yeah. No matter if you want to take it in the romantic way or if you want to overcome an argument, it works.
That's beautiful. Yes. All right. Awesome. So let's talk a little bit about spirituality before we wrap up. Your life shifted when you chose purpose over prestige. What advice would you give to someone who feels spiritually restless or called to something deeper but is afraid to step out?
Yeah, overcome your own fear, because it's like it's to go on this path is not for everyone. It becomes at the beginning for sure a little bit uncomfortable. Is you literally step out of your comfort zone. This is what's happening. And I always explain it in a very simple way. When you go on an airport and all the gates are occupied because the planes didn't leave yet and your plane cannot land, you're in stagnation. But
Mhm.
if all the planes leave, then new planes can land. And this is exactly what we should look out for. If you are stuck, make sure that you cut off what is not serving you anymore. You will be probably a little bit alone for a while, but the most important thing is that the real awakening is not on the outside. There will be nobody that tells you what to do, and there will be nobody that can live your life for you and give you, no matter how smart the therapist is, no matter how good the shaman is, the only one that really knows your heart is yourself. And
Mhm.
if you step out of your comfort zone and you go into the journey inward, this is where you find all these answers that you're looking for.
Yeah, yeah. It all starts from within. Yes, you can't do it from without. And one great plug for breath work, because breath work is always in the present. And always, if you're really doing it properly, you are connecting to the present, you're connecting to spirituality, you're connecting to life. And that's what breathwork is all about. And yes, you need to start being in the present and start from the inside,
Exactly.
which is one of the things that we talk about. Trauma, for instance, is always that someone's doing something to you or did something to you. But in order to heal, I love what you say. You've got to get rid of it. You've got to get rid of it from your mind. You got to get rid of it from your body, and even forgive that person. That's all part of the healing, right? So
I mean,
amazing.
for forgiveness is one of the best things. We don't tell people to forget stuff. Remember what happened to you, but forgiving is a very big part. And the
I know.
here and now, what you achieve through breath work is so important, because when you live in the past, and you go, hey, it was so good back then, you get depressed. And when you worry about the future, you get anxiety. And there's a quote, an old quote from the 60s, I think it was Timothy Leary, when he talked about surfers. And he said, these are the people in the society that are really living in the moment. And he was very true, because he said, they're really on the wave. The wave behind them doesn't exist anymore. or is already gone, and the one in the front is not even there yet. So they're
No,
really
it might never happen because we
exactly.
worry about things that we predict the future and we really can't. We don't have a
Exactly.
crystal ball,
Exactly.
right?
So the here and now, what you can achieve through breath work is very powerful.
Yeah, I know. All right, we're in alignment here. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Well, I really enjoyed our conversation. So, tell our listeners how they can connect with you, how they can pick up their love tuner, your website, your social media, and anything else you want. Your book, anything else you want to talk about at this point.
Yeah, so Love Tuner, it comes in this little box here. It's like a little gift box that you also received, and it has a leaflet that explains how it works. The best thing is to go on lovetuner.com. So we ship nationwide free shipping. We ship all around the world. And if somebody wants to go deeper, we also offer one-on-one tune-ins. We offer a Love Tuner coach where people can learn everything about breath work and frequency and also the spiritual laws. And then last but not least, the book what I wrote is called One Journey, and it also gives you a good guidance. Everything is available on lovetuner.com.
Beautiful. Are you in social? You're at Instagram. What's your handle?
Love Tuner 528 hertz.
All right. Awesome. Okay. Well, Signar, thank you for reminding us that sometimes healing doesn't come from doing more, but from slowing down, breathing deeper, and tuning back into love. So, if this episode resonating with any of you that are listening, I want you to ask yourself, where in your life do you need to pause, breathe, and realign? You will find Sigmar Berg and the Love Tuner linked in the show notes. And remember, the transformation begins when we listen to what our soul has been trying to say. And when you become conscious, 95% of the time we are living unconscious lives. Yes, when that hour and a half that I walk in the park, I am consciously aware of what the sun is doing for me, what the trees are doing for me. I'm usually learning something at the same time because I have something in my ear and I'm listening to, and it's my consciousness. And then of course I meditate at night and in the morning as well. So I'm understanding frequency, I'm understanding vibration. We didn't touch on it here, but when you tune into frequency and you are in a good place, you're also, that's when the law of attraction works, which is when, anything that you're asking God for or the universe starts flowing into you because you're aligned. And that's what I'm doing. I'm aligning with everything that I want, the energy of what you want. So, I love their conversation, Sigmar. I love my tuner. I will go get me another one for my husband because he needs tuning too. So thanks again for being on the show. And as we wrap up, any last words?
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. And I think your listeners and your followers should really find the tree or find the Love Tuner because you're on the right path.
Yes, thank you, thank you, thank you. I appreciate it. All right, guys. Well, listen, thanks for tuning in. Until next time, namaste.